They're hot on the brakes. Koenigsegg, yep, he's got the advantage, but unironically the average ducks to the inside. What a move! But Koenigsegg accelerating back on the outside. And there goes Salty Bonkos to the inside. Bashing door panels, sparks flying, smoke spraying. The Butler is going to go wide. Salty Bonkos on the inside. They're a little bit off the pace, but now accelerating all 500 horsepower. Hey, what's going on, folks? Happy Tuesday to you, wherever you are in the world, and perhaps that's an evening, an afternoon, or maybe an early Wednesday morning. Thank you very much for tuning in. Virtual Auto Sports here live on Twitch TV, and as I was telling folks during our countdown, it appears that my audio levels got all messed up at some point. I don't know if it was a Windows 10 update. I don't know if something happened to OBS. I don't know if it's just generally a problem with my computer that's causing this, but if at any point I sound too loud or the sound of the race itself is too loud, please let me know and we'll get that all fixed up. Carry out what's going on. Kagamusha, we said hello to earlier. Slow Motion Fire was there in the chat. Crimson is there as well. If you're hanging out with us here and you'd like to say hello there in the pit lane or the Twitch chat as it's otherwise known in the world of Twitch TV, then feel free to drop that hello there in the chat. And at any time during the broadcast, whether you've got a guess in terms of who's going to win the race, maybe you have thoughts on how the racing action is panning out, maybe you've got thoughts on the Forza franchise, the update 19, I think it is, for Forza Horizon 4. As long as we keep it relatively on topic, then we're good to go for discussion all throughout the evening, as we've got plenty of racing to bring to you as well. No shortage of that here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. This coming off of a week number 1, which was filled with drivers. Hence, we have 23 different names here on the graphic. This is the first time, at least since I've been broadcasting this series, the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series, that we've had 23 drivers coming out of week number 1, and it all starts with LMP Chicago, who sits on top of the leaderboard there with 97 points. He picked out the Dubai Mountain Circuit in reverse. He picked that circuit for this season, and sure enough, he walked away with the victory there. That's not before Udakan was able to salvage some points out of the race there at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, formerly known as Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. And so there you go. Yeah, the difference between first and second place, at least right now, here going into week number 2, is 7 points. Udakan there with 90, our season 31 champion, and happened to pick the vehicle here for season number 32, that R31. DOR Corvette there with 87 points. Mesosphere with 86. Cratrium, Audrex, Slipstream, and Funtang make out the top 8. Then it's Fear the Fun, Yorkie Man, Born as Ghost, AMS Storm, Slow Motion Fire, IPR Wolf, Weiss Lancelot, LSE of Chaos Fox are 9 through 16. And then you see on the far right, Modern Weapon, Trigger Story, Presto is Besto, DJ Hocus, Fawn, Viral Mist, and Grim, for all 23 drivers who were with us there on week number 1. What's up there? FVR Unku, DWM Frog, and Cratrium there in the pit lane as well. Thank you all very much for the hellos. And, of course, anybody else that we get into the broadcast along the way. And as I take a look at the lobby, I know you're not seeing it right now, but right now we've got 16, we'll make that 15 drivers who are in the lobby. And that kind of is sitting very similar to where we were last season, a week ago from today, where we were about 5 minutes out, and then the lobby just started populating itself ever so quickly. And before we get things going here in week number 2 with qualifying starting out there at the Indy circuit, let's go ahead and bring in the organizer, the president, the head honcho, Mr. Slow Motion Fire himself. And so, as I was just saying, we come off of week 1 where we had 23 drivers, a filled lobby for both races in race number 1 and 2. And now here we are entering week number 2. It looks like we're up to 16. A great start to the season so far.
Yeah, and first off, that's way too many titles. That's way more titles than I deserve.
I don't even think I listed them all. That was just me half-arsing it right there. I think there were plenty more.
It was too many.
Racer to be another one. I mean, you compete in this thing, which is pretty exciting. And tell us, I mean, how difficult is that behind the scenes for anybody who's not hosted an event, but then at the same time not just hosted an event, but organized one. And again, not just for one season, but now for 32. What is that like from your seat, your position?
It's just a lot of organization. I mean, I won't go into every little detail because that's not what you want to hear. But it's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, just keeping track of everything, keeping everybody up to speed. But luckily enough, we got a good group of people in here that there's not too much fighting behind the scenes or anything like that to take care of. Everybody pretty much understands we're just here to have fun, and it goes smoothly from that aspect. So thanks to all the drivers for that.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody minding their P's and Q's. And like you say, this is kind of a beer league, if you will. And so for anybody who's watching, and granted, we come off of a week where we had a filled lobby. It looks like maybe we're going to be maybe a couple shy here. How can people get more information about this series?
Just simply by visiting the Reddit page, reddit.com/r/FM4.
And there you go, Nightbot dropping it into the pit lane there for you. And, of course, I would be remiss if I ask you the questions about the organization, the administration part of the league, but then not ask you a question about racing. How do you like the 1987 Nissan GTS-R? It's the R31, and we've gone through 1 week worth of racing, so 2 races out at Mazda Raceway, followed by Dubai. Today we've got Indy and Lime Rock.
I'm looking forward to driving this car at Indy today. The car and track combination, it just really seems to work together with my driving skill, and I think I got a chance at Indy. We'll see how it goes.
And a lot of the drivers telling us last week, this car very, very sticky. It plants well to the ground. It holds its own through the corners. Maybe a little bit of insight when you get the vehicle of choice from the winner, and that's kind of an incentive for anybody who wins the championship here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, is you get to pick the car for the subsequent season. How do you go about setting the vehicle up? Is that in tandem with the champion, or are you doing that all on your own?
Yeah, we work with the champion and try and see what they envisioned for the car, and then just try to play to the car's skill sets and come up with something that isn't the exact same thing we drove last season, because the whole point of this is to drive the bizarre oddball stuff in Forza that maybe isn't competitive on the leaderboards or in the hoppers, but when we get a field of 23 of them, we can have some good racing.
Carryout is grinning there in the pit lane, the Twitch chat, saying Lime Rock has a smiley face. Obviously excited about that one. And I was just going to ask another question, but I totally forgot. So I'm going to just throw one out there randomly, whatever comes off the top of my head. We're looking at the leaderboard right now. We've got LMP Chicago. We've got 2 AMS guys, both Udakan and Storm, who are participating here in season number 32. Some new names, some new faces out there on the track, but man, the level of competition is just unreal.
It's crazy. There's never a shortage of fast people to chase when you're practicing. So there's plenty of opportunity to get better.
Plenty of opportunity to get better, and as we speak, they are hopping out of the practice round out here. So Slow Motion Fire, best of luck to you here in week number 2 in the qualifying, and we'll see you out there on the track during the races.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Dustin.
Yep, thank you very much. We'll throw Slow Motion Fire back into the we'll throw him back to the Wolves. He's got to go back to all the drivers. He comes over to me in the driver's spotlight to escape a little bit, and that way he doesn't have to take so much of that way he can have a reprieve from the gaggle of folks there in the lobby as they get ready to go racing. But now I throw him back. He's back in the mix. And yes, there's quite a bit. Having been an event hoster myself, and throwing together all the parameters and the race requirements and getting everybody up to speed and make sure everyone's on the same page. There is a lot that goes on behind the scenes here, and so kudos to Slow Motion Fire for making it all happen week to week. I do believe he said that Modern Weapon is going to step in and take the helm here maybe next week or the following week, as he's got to step away and take care of some things in the real world. So we'll see if maybe we can't get Modern Weapon in during that time and get his perspective on what it's like to step in as a guest host for an event. But nonetheless, if you are interested in all the things that are going on here in the Forza Spec Racing series, then reddit.com/r/fm4 is the place to go. We're getting very close. Well, actually, we are at the top of the hour here, so I'm going to go ahead and hop back on over. For the first time, you all hop on over to the lobby, and we'll run through the names. I'll go ahead and spectate. We've got DOR Corvid, that's Crimson, the man formerly known as Crimson, here in our Twitch. Well, he's Crimson in the Twitch chat. He hasn't changed his name there, but formerly Crimson on the circuit. Now DOR Corvid. You got Cratrium there, Yorkie Man, DJ Hocus, Joe Beardy, LSEM Chaos Fox, IPR Wolf, Viral Mist, CMD Slipstream, Trigger Story, Udakan, Fawn, Born as Ghost, Fear the Fun, Modern Weapon, LMP Chicago, Slow Motion Fire, Grim, and Odd Drex, the 19 drivers that are currently in the lobby, where, again, we have 23 spots available. So while we had a packed event in week number 1, and therefore it was difficult to get anybody else in, or it was impossible to get anybody else in, it looks like we've got some room here in week number 2. And the beauty is, if you can participate here in week number 2, that is to say, put your car together real quick and hop on in here. Granted, you'll have to do some coordinating with Slow Motion Fire on the Xbox Live side, but if you are a registered participant here of FM4 season number 32, jump in, even if you're going to miss qualifying here, and still have a go at it in the race itself. They'll just put you at the back of the pack. And here we go. Off the line first is going to be Born as Ghost. You see there the 1987 Nissan Skyline GTSR, that R31. B600 is the performance index here in Forza Motorsport 7. 276 horsepower, 289 foot-pounds of torque. I almost gave it one extra. 2,685 pounds of curb weight. And a little bit of cloudy skies here above Indy, but no chance of rain. As a matter of fact, no rain to be seen anywhere on the schedule for Season 32, and that's a little disappointing. We've got cars that are apparently excessively sticky. They do quite well through the corners, but no precipitation to help bring that element of surprise. A little make the tires a little bit slicker than usual. That's okay though. We can deal with it. 5 weeks of racing under the sun. It's not a half bad ordeal. And now here they come down the long straightaway toward the infield. Here at the Indianapolis Grand Prix circuit, this road course, there are no corner names. Surprisingly, not surprising. They're just turn numbers. And as we go around here, I'll have to kind of throw out what would be the turn numbers from the olden days, because this is the classic track, and you'll notice that as they come off of the road course out onto the oval, and now entering turn number 1, going opposite of the direction they would be going if this was a brickyard race around the oval. And so, this is the old classic course. They have changed up the configuration a bit here at the Indianapolis Grand Prix circuit over the years. LSEM Chaos Fox, hoping for a better race than last week's. And LSEM Chaos Fox saying that after a couple of disappointing scenarios. And Chaos Fox, I might be speaking out of place here, but I think you had one disconnect. And so if that is true, then yes, hopefully you are getting a much better run this time around versus last week. And let's go ahead and throw in the left-hand corner now that drivers are starting their first flying lap. We'll throw into the corner the stats with LMP Chicago. Surprise, surprise, our leader coming into week number 2 has the quickest time around the Indy circuit at a 137.674. You can see the ghost of Yorkie Man, and that's where it gets a little bit complicated for the drivers, is that even though everybody's qualifying at once, but you're ghosted so you can pass through other drivers with ease. The trick is being able to pinpoint your apexes when you do have that ghost kind of wobbling around about your car. And LMP Chicago like a pro handling it and getting past. And now coming back out onto the oval, getting ready to set the first of 2 flying laps. FBR Unu or Unku, thank you very much for that follow. I'm sorry with the names. I try my best. I'm not always gonna nail them. Unku, thank you again for that follow and welcome to the broadcast. Twitch TV Virtual Autosports live here on a Tuesday evening. The Forza Spec Racing Series, which has its roots in Forza Motorsport 4. They've been around for a long, long time. Great group of drivers. Quite possibly, and every once in a while I tease it as such on Twitter, quite possibly one of the longest running Forza race leagues you will find in the community. If not the longest running. Unku. As we see now, Chicago, well actually this is Fear the Fun with Corvid. Right now it's going to be LMP Chicago with that 132.9. Now getting ready to set the third and final lap time. DOR Corvid in second. Cratrium is third. Fear the Fun with the fourth fastest. DJ Hocus, then Joe Beardy, Yorkie Man, Audrex, Chaos Fox, and Slow Motion Fire. Yorkie Man, one of the newer drivers here to the Forza Spec Racing Series. You'll notice that on some of these cars, their number plate will be orange, and the orange indicates that they're an amateur to this series. That does not mean, don't be mistaken, that does not mean they're an amateur to the world of Forza by any means. It just means that for the sake of this series, they are showing up for the first time. And then everybody else, as we see, there's Yorkie Man and that orange number plate. Everybody else sports the green, which indicates that they are a quote-unquote pro. They've been in the series before. So after you've done your initial series, your initial entry into the league, then you can sport the green number plate. All right, so it looks like it's going to be Chicago on the pole position with Corvid opposite of him. Then on row number 2, Audrex and Fear the Fun. Audrex. Wow. I haven't called that name at the top of qualifying in quite some time. Well done to him. Audrex, whose appearance on this channel, even dating back prior to the present Virtual Autosport days, dating back to the Shadow Edge Media days. Audrex, a prominent participant in the Mileage Masters Championship Series, some of the 30-50 event stuff that we did. Not a foreign name to us at all. And let's go ahead and take a look at those post-race results. And mind you, that position off to the left-hand side, you're going to have to ignore that. That's just rating the drivers based on their total time on track. But as some of us, or well, I'm going to tell you, so all of us know, what we're really looking for is that best lap time. We don't care about how many minutes they were on the track itself, but just what was their quickest lap time. Best lap there for Born as Ghost, a 141.2, a 134.5 for DJ Hocus, DOR Corvid with a 133.1. Fear the Fun with a 134.2. LMP Chicago with that blistering 132.937. Yorkie Man with a 134.644. Audrex 133.928. I think that'll still be good for row number 2. Then it goes to Slipstream with a 135.118. Joe Beardy with a 134.619. IPR Wolf, new name here to the Forza Spec Racing Series, a 135.772. Grim with a 138.0. Fawn, 135.9. Chaos Fox, 134.6. So looking good on the lap times. There is Chaos Fox, who's looking for a better run here in week number 2. Cratrim with a 134.109. Udakan with a 133.455. Viral Mist, you see that triangle and the exclamation mark that indicates a dirty lap there for Viral Mist with a 137.404. That'll put him or her toward the back of the pack. Slow Motion Fire with a 135.254. Trigger Story 136.360. And Modern Weapon, it looks like, disconnected there during that qualifying session. He picks up a 144.361. Will be able to participate in the race, albeit at the back of the pack. If there are any drivers who would like to have a word before we head out to the track, by all means, let me know. And as soon as I say that, I turn over there to the Discord, and I see LMP Chicago, who's going to grab our pole position here out at Indy. LMP Chicago, you picked out the Dubai circuit. You felt really comfortable there. How do you feel about the track here at Indy?
I feel pretty comfortable here as well, but as the race progresses, I feel like everyone near the top is probably going to even out pace-wise.
Even out pace-wise here at Indy, and I don't know, you seem like such a, and I know this is a very cliche term, cool, calm, and collected individual. Do you get spooled up about anything here in Forza Motorsport? Are you ever at the edge of your seat, or are you as relaxed as your voice sounds?
Not really. I kind of try to hide it sometimes, but it's better to be chill than to actually be aggressive and have everyone have a bad reputation on you.
Very true. Very true. I can respect that approach. Letting everybody know kind of who you are in a professional sense. And now you've got the pole position here for race number 3 of Season 32. A new rule that was implemented in Season 31 where the pole position driver sets the pace or establishes when the race starts. Do you have any sort of strategy to that without obviously revealing too much to the crowd here?
I kind of tried doing that at Dubai, but I feel like the front 2 rows kind of caught on to what I was doing. So you never know what I might do.
And heading into turn number 1 here at Indy, it's a sharp right-hander. Then you hit the S's or pseudo-S's there for 2 and 3. We've seen this in the multiplayer lobbies, can get very hairy into that corner, but what do you have to do on this opening lap to stay in the clear and keep your car pointed in the right direction?
Just be passive, because the cold tires on this car are terrible with the amount of wheel spin that you get off the launch, which is pretty much nothing.
Okay, be passive. Kind of you still got to be a little bit defensive, right? You got to hold your line. You got to establish, hey guys, this is where I'm going to be. Granted, you've got great drivers around you, but maybe at some point during the race, as you start to encounter the back markers, that might be where maybe you're a little bit more cautious. Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to make sure everyone's driving predictably so you don't get into a messy incident.
All right, Chicago. Well, thank you very much for jumping into the driver's spotlight. Congratulations here on the pole position for qualifying. And best of luck to you here in race number 3.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and rope in now LSEM Chaos Fox, who was telling us there in the pit lane prior to the race getting going that you're hoping for a better week here in week number 2. How are things off to a start? It seemed like you were pretty high up in the rankings there during qualifying.
Yes. I did a lot of practice with this track, and this track is definitely my strong point. I feel way more confident on this track than last week, and I'm hoping for a much higher result. I'm not shooting for the stars here, but I'm shooting for 7th or 8th.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving myself a reasonable goal just to kind of get back into the swing of things. But last week I had 3 different events and I've been doing really bad. I need to get out of this slump.
Yeah, and the beauty here with the Forza Spec Racing Series, there is the drop week, much like a lot of leagues, so you get a chance to kind of redeem yourself. Top 10, that's pretty ambitious, but obtainable at the same time, so I like that. And perhaps it's just my experience, but here in Forza Motorsport 7, I've become more familiar with the modern setup of this track. So to go to the Classic, you said that you did quite a bit of practice, but prior to that, were you getting more familiar with the modern track, and so to see the Classic one on the schedule, did that throw you for a loop a little?
Actually, no. I actually prefer this setup. 6, I raced it a lot, and Motorsport 4, I raced it a ton. I love this track.
And despite that confidence, is there any one corner where if we were to say Chaos Fox has got to find some improvement, is there any one corner out here that gives you troubles?
I want to say near the further end of the track before you get back onto the bank, those S turns, that's right now my weak point.
7, 8, 9,
getting a little better.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. What would be 7, 8, 9, 10 on the modern track? I think here on the classic they're even 8, 9, 10, 11. But Chaos Fox, great job there in qualifying, and we hope to see you there at the finish line for this one.
Yes, thank you.
All right, and one more driver to bring in here to the driver's spotlight before we get them going racing out here for Indy. The Grand Prix track or the road course is Grim. Grim, welcome to the driver's spotlight once again. Back-to-back weeks.
How's it going?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
A little more confident, honestly.
Feeling better? Is it because of the car, or is it because of the drivers that you're around? What's boosting the confidence for you?
The track is a big plus. I grew up on NASCAR games, so I'm pretty familiar with Indy, especially in the big circle areas. I've gotten a lot of really good advice from people like Chicago and Slip as well, though, and I've definitely seen an improvement. Even in qualifying, I've already beaten my personal bests at this track.
Very cool, very cool. And in this car, which at least in week number 1 was synonymous with grip, is there, and we were just talking to Chaos Fox about this, is there any particular part of the track where that works to your disadvantage, or is it pretty smooth sailing here in the 87 Nissan GT-SR?
I'm thinking the very last set of turns is what's tripping me up the most, just with the amount of grip. I have more room than I feel like I have more room, and I just don't push it as hard as I think I could be. I'm losing a lot of time in that area.
Okay, and if you're giving us if you were to give us, and I am going to ask you for a prediction here, where do you want to see yourself finishing?
I'd be okay with finishing where I'm starting, honestly.
Okay. And
not last, not up front, just right there.
Very good. Hey, that works for me. As long as you've got something to shoot for, that's pretty darn good. Greg, thank you very much for jumping into the driver's spotlight. Best of luck to you in the race.
Hey, thank you.
All right. We throw Grim back in, and all the drivers readying up. Trigger Story, also a new name here to the Forza Spec Racing Series. You see the orange number plate in the background. There goes Trigger Story readying up along with Slipstream. Now just waiting maybe for Odd Drex there. Go ahead and give us our audio back for the game as we get ready for... Oh my gosh, I've lost it. I lost my schedule. I'm going to have to go ahead and refer to the one on screen, or at least I can see it in the preview window. 20 laps around Indy here. The classic road course. The classic Grand Prix track. And there's the countdown from Slow Motion Fire. 20 laps. There will be 21 there in the upper left-hand corner, but ignore that because that last one will be a cool-down lap. And let's go ahead and set ourselves up the camera view. We'll go over to DOR Corvid's car. And again, it'll be LMP Chicago who's going to dictate the start in this race. And that is to say that once the lobby loads in, they'll all sit on the grid. They won't move. They'll wait for LMP Chicago to start rolling. As soon as Chicago shows movement, everybody else is permitted to accelerate and get the race going. What's up there, LSEM Julian? Good to see ya. Slow Motion Fire saying here we go. Dino Dad Shadow in the house and with the with the host. And Grizzled 184 with that follow. Thank you. Here we go. Kick the tires and light the fires. Off the line, it's LMP Chicago, Corvid. And right next to him in third position, that's going to be Udakan and Audrex down the straightaway, going in the reverse direction of the Brickyard circuit. And now here they go onto the Grand Prix track. You've got a lot of room to maneuver there, but don't cut that corner too much. They do have the Forza race regulations turned on, and of course, if you abuse corners too much here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, they'll give you the little slap on the wrist to say, hey, cut that out. Now here they come out of turn 2. Actually, it's going to be turn 3, then 4. They're going to jump into the inside here, which, again, this is the classic track. And Dino Dad Shadow telling us there in the pit lane that this is the best version of the two between the classic and the modern. And now back out onto this midfield straightaway. This is a mainstay here of the Grand Prix circuit. Then into these S's. Udakan there in third still with Audrex. Audrex, again, having a fantastic qualifying run, finding himself in fourth presently with Cratrium back behind him. Then it's Joe Beardy in sixth. LSCM Chaos Fox, DJ Hocus, Yorkie Man, Slipstream, IPR Wolf, Slow Motion Fire, Trigger Story, Grim, Modern Weapon, Viral Mist, Fear the Fun, Born as Ghost, Fawn, and that's your 19 out of 19 who are out on the circuit. Now back around turn number one here on the oval, toward the start-finish line, and no change in position here through the top four. On lap number one, they start lap two. What's up there, Dan? Man, I'm off my game big time here. Mateo Max, what's going on? Saying go, go, go. Indeed, the drivers quickly up to speed. You have that long stretch there off the start-finish line to get up to speed heading into turn number 1, then 2, 3, and 4. And no question now that this race is well underway at this point. No caution flags here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. So whatever incidents there might be out on the track, the rule is to press on. And because we had our camera focused up here in the front, not entirely sure what has Fawn so far back there in 19th position, just now coming out of turn number 4. Doesn't matter how good your racing ability, though, even if you're running back there toward the back of the pack because of your own skill level and not because you got caught up in any sort of incident, that's quite all right. Really, this is a fun league where you can get out here, boost your skill level, get better over time. It may not happen instantaneously, but just keep at it, practice, get through the race season, get through all 5 weeks of racing. There's 9 total events. And then carry on into the next season and see how well you do there. And because they change cars from season to season, who knows? Maybe the Nissan GTSR is just not your vehicle, and whoever the champion is here in Season 32, they pick a car for Season 33 that is more to your liking or suits your driving style. Let's go back to Audrex here, who's closing in on AMS Udakan and actually gets in the back of him. And there goes Udakan, having to do a little bit of a drift there through turn number 1. Recovers it for turn 2. And Audrex maybe giving him a little bit of breathing room to recover. And now they'll continue on. You see the scuffs there on the front of the AMD Risen car. Audrex hanging out in fourth. There's Cratrium back behind him. Cratrium, without a doubt, able to close in a little bit more. He's running in fifth. Joe Beardy having his best run in quite some time. I haven't seen Joe Beardy do so hot since earlier on in Season 31, I think it was, or maybe even coming out of Season 30. Joe Beardy was one of my picks as far as a driver to look out for. We just haven't seen that come to fruition over the last few weeks, and maybe changing that up, maybe making a change of pace here in week number 2 of Season 32 in the R31. Audrex now about a car and a half, 2 car lengths back behind AMS Udakan at this point. There's Cratrium, Joe Beardy, LSCM Chaos Fox, who was telling us, I want to be in 7th or 8th, at least top 10. He's running in 7th currently. DJ Hocus in 8th, Yorkie Man in 9th, IPR Wolf in 10th, and Grim, who we talked to there in the driver's spotlight before the race, running in 18th. He just said, hey, I just don't want to be in last. And he's not at this point. He's one ahead of the caboose here on the train of cars coming past the start-finish line for the beginning of lap number 4 of 20. Let's go Udakan, says Dino Dad Shadow, and let's go ahead and take a look back at that. Well, that's not what we're looking for. That's from our Dubai race a week ago. Hoot Wheels. Not Hot Wheels, Hoot Wheels with the follow. Thank you very much, Hoot Wheels. Good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. A little bit of racing here. Virtual Auto Sports Live on Twitch TV. As we continue to hang out with Audrex. And again, you guys let me know, please don't make me have you suffer through the broadcast. If the audio levels seem off, let me know. It does appear that my levels, at least the way that they're being displayed in OBS, are not not where they are usually at. Something seems amiss. So if I don't sound loud enough, or the racing doesn't sound loud enough, or if it's a combination of the two, please let me know. We want to give you all the best viewing experience possible. Let's go back to LSEM Chaos Fox, who, again, we talked to in the driver's spotlight. Currently in 7th with that beautiful, I love that kind of very appropriate for the 80s era, the pink and the almost like Tar Heel, North Carolina blue. Baby blue there on that car. I like it. DWM Frog saying, audio sounds good. Okay, good. I maybe it's just OBS that's not displaying it correctly. But I'm glad that it sounds okay. And across the line they go once again here. Lap number 5. It's still LMP Chicago out in front. He's got DOR Corvid and then AMS Udakan with Audrex. Let's go back to Audrex. Again, we saw that contact a little bit earlier on. I tried to capture it for our virtual Autosports instant replay. I did not time it well, apparently, or it didn't time it at all. We saw Dubai footage there on the replay. And here they come back out onto the racing surface. You can see swinging out well wide, coming out of what would be turn number 6, I believe, here on the classic track. I've got the map for the modern circuit, and if I just -1 on every, or +1 on every turn that I see on my classic map, that'll give me the right number here on the classic. Or something to that effect, I don't know. It was a long day today. Audrex now back out onto the oval here. He has fallen back to Udakan by a good amount, so he's got his work cut out for him if he wants a top 3 position in this race. Cratrium there in 5th. Joe Beardy and Chaos Fox 6 and 7. They're now creating some separation on 8th, which is DJ Hocus, Yorkie Man, and Slipstream. Not a lot of movement in this race. Let's go back to 15th with Born as Ghost. He's out in front of Modern Weapon, but behind Trigger Story. As they come down the straightaway, the front straightaway here at the Indianapolis Grand Prix circuit, and they're going to go side by side coming up to turn number 1. As they stake their claim, Modern Weapon on the inside, Born as Ghost on the outside, and actually kind of closing that in for Modern Weapon before bringing it back to the apex into turn number 2. And now Trigger Story trying to make a run here at Modern Weapon. I got Pizza Planet livery on that car. It's a delivery shuttle. It is Pizza Planet from the Toy Story franchise. Well done, Born as Ghost. I like it. Let's go to Cratrium now, who is reeling in Audrex. Audrex, who's falling off the pace of Udakan quickly, and now is going to have to start playing defense. Kind of a matte gray car there for Cratrium, who's behind an AMD Risen gray and orange car of Audrex. Audrex throwing the brakes on either late or heavy. Tire smoke there. Did not hurt his approach any, and on they go into turns 3 and 4. If we were on the modern circuit, we would avoid this section of the track altogether and instead approach the midfield straightaway with just a very slight S's, a kink there. And we have seen that that particular track run here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. The thing that is very notable about that configuration is just watching everybody's drive line, their driving line. They're avoiding the corner cutting through that section, but that's not an issue here on the classic track as they all pitch the car to the right, inward, and we've got somebody who is either turned around That's going to be Fawn back there in 18th position, now getting back out onto the track. And actually, that was Modern Weapon, I believe. Not Fawn, but Modern Weapon. And is there any damage to that vehicle? There is not, which seems about right. You're pretty far and away. Oh, a heavy on the brakes there, heading into turn 8. Here on the classic track. But yeah, we're pretty far away from any barriers. So avoiding damage isn't all that difficult. And there goes, well, as soon as I say that, Modern Weapon goes ahead and parks it straight into the tire wall. We'll jump back up here to AMS Utakan, who seems to be missing some of the livery. I don't remember it being this bare before, although I could be wrong. Oh, and Utakan able to recover. The front of that Nissan Skyline was heading toward the tire barrier. As we take a look back at the Virtual Autosport instant replay there with Modern Weapon again, who looked off going out of turn number 4, what would be turn 5 here on the classic circuit, and then just altogether brings it into the tire barrier. Perhaps having to step away from the controller for real-world responsibilities. LMP Chicago continues to expand upon that lead. Very reminiscent of what he had going there at the Dubai Mountain Reverse race, which was race number 2 of week number 2, or week number 1. And doing quite well out here at Indy. And here comes Utakan right there on Corvid. He can feel the pressure because Utakan giving him a little bit of a bump there through 1 and 2. Now he backs off a little bit here for 3 and 4. He's going to run to the outside, make that move. Can he have it stick in the very, very grippy 87 Nissan GTSR? And he does. Up to 3rd position goes Utakan. No easy pass, that one. He made it happen. Beautiful, beautiful maneuver. As we go back to the Virtual Autosport instant replay for that one. LMP Chicago now starting to approach some of the lap traffic, the back markers, and this is exactly the scenario that I was talking to him about. He mentioned the start. Yeah, you could set your line, establish where you're going to be for the start of the race, and of course, knowing the level of driver ability up there in front with him out of qualifying wasn't likely to be any sort of issue. But now when you've got some of these back markers, a little bit less experience, you're hoping that they don't make any mistakes and cause you to lose time, especially when you've got 2nd and 3rd closing in, or at least back there just waiting to take advantage of any sort of mistake. Modern Weapon's going to run wide out of turn number 4. That gives Chicago just the amount of room he needs to move through on the inside. And so he gets by. No incident there, and now he's got a nice amount of clean air out in front of him for the next, I don't know, it's going to be a while before he finds himself another back marker about halfway through the race. Halfway through this lap, and then next time by the flag stand, officially halfway through the race. Let's go back to DOR Corvid there with Utakan. As now Utakan has moved up to 2nd position around Corvid. And, pardon me, that was the case. We saw that move. We saw that move. Around they go for the start of lap number 11 here. You'll see Chicago trip it there in the upper left. There it goes. halfway through this race. We've got another one coming at you here after this not after this broadcast, in this same broadcast. It'll be 29 laps around Lime Rock for race number 4 of season 32. There goes Corbin, maybe a little bit too far to the inside. It looked like 4 wheels beyond the curbing, definitely beyond the white line. Prior to each race, the drivers getting a briefing on where they can exceed track limits and where they cannot. Of course, during qualifying, you do have to adhere to those track limits all throughout the session. That way you can set yourself a quick lap time. But during the race, sometimes, not all the time, the race organizer, Slow Motion Fire, a little bit more lenient about where you can and cannot go. Here comes Cratrium, who has been on the backside of Audrex's Nissan GTS, and will he be able to make a move at some point, or is he just staying there hoping that Audrex will make a mistake at some point? Audrex has been in 4th position ever since this race began. Cratrim always has been in 5th, Joe Beardy in 6th, LSM Chaos Fox in 7th, DJ Hocus in 8th position, CMD Slipstream is 9th, Yorkie Man has fallen back to 10th. Then it's Slow Motion Fire, who's running a pretty good clip there in 11th. Fear the Fun falling back to 12th position, as we see now Cratrium looking to the inside there of Audrex, but then Audrex bringing it back toward the inside here through turn number 1 of the Brickyard Speedway. And look at that, just so close across the line on that back bumper. Let's see what Cratrium's going to do here as they approach turn number 1. He's going to go ahead and brake a little bit early. Don't want to run into the back there of Audrex's car. We saw Audrex get the backside of Udakan a little bit earlier, and then after that, Udakan says, yeah, that was fun. See you later, and then has not looked back since. What do you guys think of the racing so far? We're almost 3 whole races into season 32. Is LMP Chicago just going to walk away with this thing, or what? Is somebody going to be able to step up and compete with them through the remaining 6 races? I sure hope so. We want to see this one come down to the fifth week, the 9th race in the season. That would be awesome. That was exactly the case there in season number 31, with Udakan having to hold off Dior Corvid to win the championship and then ultimately pick the 87 GTSR for season 32. And that's the name of the game here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. You win the championship, you get the bragging rights, but then you also get to pick the next car that is run in this series, which is always fun. And with 700 plus, heck, it might even be 800 plus cars in the Forza Motorsport 7 title, you have a lot of options to choose from. A lot of different vehicles, different performance levels, different styles, configurations, and then they take that car, and as you might have heard Slow Motion Fire tell us earlier, he works with the champion to say, okay, what are your intentions with this vehicle? What would you like? You pick the car, but what would you like it to be like? What performance level? What specifications? Let's get it all ready. And then everybody at the start of the season upgrades their vehicle to the same performance index specification, and not even just to the same PI, but also the very same upgrades. It's in the tuning where you can change things up a little bit to work to your advantage, fit your driving style, fit the track that you're racing on, so you can make those adjustments from event to event. A lot of fun. And as we've seen here in the last, 8 or 9 of these seasons that I've been broadcasting, just a very diverse skill level across the grid. But that's what makes this series so great, is that you inevitably you'll find somebody that you compete closely with, and just make it a battle between you and them. Bragging rights, even if you're not in the running for the championship, bragging rights for top 20, top 15, top 10. Man, y'all are quiet tonight. Y'all are quiet. Mateo Max saying, shh. What do you guys think about the LFA coming back to the Forza Horizon title, Forza Horizon 4, which hopefully then bodes well for a Lexus return in Forza Motorsport 8 or whatever the next motorsport experience is. Weiss Lancelot saying, about time it came back. The sweet LFA sound. Yeah, I mean, the sound, just the visceral sound of that car and just the Lexus brand altogether is like, finally, and we kind of saw that coming with the return of Toyota, with Toyota apparently coming to their senses and saying, yeah, well, okay, what we were thinking, or whatever was that kept them from being in the Forza franchise and in some of the other titles, whatever kept them from appearing in this franchise, now they are able to be back and a part of it, and hopefully, again, that holds true for the next motorsport experience as well. Here comes Udakan now, who is in clean air with Chicago. He is closing in on Chicago, though. So, and that super van, yeah, the Ford Super Van 3. That was a surprise, and even more so the Rover. The support for Forza Horizon 4 has been unparalleled in terms of the Forza franchise, any of the Forza titles. The amount of support and ongoing content being supplied by the Playground. I was about to say their Twitter handle, which is We Are Playground, by the Playground Games team is the best that we've seen, at least in my opinion, in all 15 years of the Forza franchise. They've done a bang-on job over there. Here comes Udakan, and now, yeah, it's Chicago having to deal with Grimm. Grimm running there in 19th position. Corvid. Let's hop back quickly to Cratrim here in 5th position behind Audrex. Weiss Lancelot saying, Toyota, we want to be seen as a safer brand. Not 2 seconds later, Toyota releases the Supra, brings back the cars it had in video games back, and announces more speed cars. Gotta love Toyota. And to be fair, Weiss Lancelot, what it looked like was a misunderstanding by the Twitter account for Toyota. What was it? Toyota UK, who threw that whole spiel out there about we don't endorse street racing and therefore we're not in Forza Horizon or something to that effect. And then quickly that tweet got deleted. I think somebody was a little ambitious behind the keyboard there on the social media team there for Toyota UK. I think it was Toyota UK. It wasn't the main Toyota or the primary Toyota Twitter handle, if I'm not mistaken. Mateo Max, and doing all the things that Mateo Max does. This guy's a machine. He's an analytics, statistics, every kind of ICS that you could think of. The dude is on it. Saying, I'm working on the stats tonight with the addition of the 4 cars in Forza Horizon 4. It now has the most individual production cars of any game in the franchise, passing both Forza Motorsport 4 and Forza Motorsport 7. So there you go. From the man himself, who, if there's anybody to trust in that statistic, it is Mateo Max. Go check it out, MateoMax.com. He's got the list of the vehicles, so if you're trying to keep track of your inventory or if you're just wanting to browse quickly to see what specifications any one car has in Forza Motorsport or in Forza Horizon, MateoMax.com is the place to go. Save a copy of that spreadsheet for yourself. Granted, as Playground Games continues to add content, you're going to need to download the latest and greatest, but that's the MateoMax.com is the place to go if you want to keep track of what's happening there. And here comes Audrex having to deal with lap traffic himself. Fortunately, that doesn't stall him any. Thinking maybe Cratrium was going to have a shot there. Not meant to be. Let's go back to Udakan here with the remaining 1.5 laps. Actually, I take that back. 2.5 laps here. Big Ben, best thing about that is the best thing about that whole thing was Need for Speed's response. And I'm trying to remember what that response was. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, that whole thing was just weird. And it's almost like Toyota, like the main Toyota came in and said, hey, okay, everybody calm down. Delete the tweet. And as a matter of fact, I think they even came back with another tweet that says, sorry, we misspoke, or something to that effect. To quote Poof Nerds, Big Ben talking about, who are you talking about there, Big Ben? you're talking about Mateo Max. And across the line here goes Udakan, lap number 18 of 20. And so I was way off. We've got 3 laps now starting as of the beginning of this one here. Oh, that was Need for Speed's response. Gotcha. That's right, because that's how it all got instigated, was something about somebody said, hey, why aren't you guys in Need for Speed, or I don't know if it was Need for Speed or Horizon, and then that's when the Toyota account came in and says we don't endorse street racing, and then yeah, okay, thanks Big Ben, get me back all up to speed. I remember it now. I just remember watching that tweet conversation and going, what? What does any of this even mean? What does it all mean? Running through the field here for what might be our last time, and then we'll keep the camera focused toward the front. Let's actually go back to Cratrum, who's still back behind Audrex, and then I'll run through the field for you all. In first, it's LMP Chicago, who was on the grid, or on the pole position for qualifying, or coming out of qualifying, and remains in the P1 position here in the race. Then it's AMS Udakan, who's moved up a few spots to grab P2 presently. Then it's DOR Corvette in third, Audrex in fourth, who's got Cratrum, as we're watching right now, right behind him in fifth position. In sixth, way back in sixth position behind some lap traffic, is DJ Hocus, LSEM Chaos Fox, Joe Beardy, CMD Slipstream. Then there's a little bit of a gap between 9th and 10th. 10th is Fear the Fun, followed by Yorkie Man, Slow Motion Fire, IPR Wolf, Born as Ghost, Trigger Story. And then a bit further behind is Viral Mist, Fawn, Grim, and Modern Weapon, 16th through 19th. Unfortunately, Modern Weapon not having a great run here at Indy. That'll teach Need for Speed to open their mouth. You know what? I can appreciate Need for Speed, though. Like, I love those brands who decide that their tone and their voice of their Twitter, of their social feeds, is going to be something of a little bit witty and sarcastic, because then it's more personable. Like, you feel like there's actually somebody behind that Twitter account that has a little bit of humor in them, and that they can express the brand in a way that, sure, you're not going to see them maybe poke fun at other brands on advertisements or anything like that, but when they have a little bit more leeway in the social media space, it's kind of fun to watch. Wendy's Twitter account is just unreal, and there goes Udakan getting 2 wheels. The passenger side of the 87 Nissan getting up into the air, coming off of the curving through turn number 2. And here on this final lap, they saw the white flag fly last time by. Let's see if Udakan's going to be able to make any sort of push for P1. And Udakan, who entered week number 2 7 points down from Chicago, can use all the points to keep pace with Chicago. But granted, like a lot of leagues in the virtual racing community, there's a drop week in effect And so even if this is not Udacon's fastest or best week, we'll drop the points associated with this week and only tally the best of 5. The top 4 of 5 in terms of points. And now here comes Chicago around turn number 1 here on the Brickyard Speedway. Chicago going to pick up back-to-back wins here in season number 32, followed by AMS Udacon. Then it's going to be a DOR Corbin. Let's go back to Cratrim in 5th position. Can he make any moves here on Audrex? Not going to happen. Audrex is going to get 4th position after having started 4th. Cratrim in 5th. Then it'll be DJ Hocus with LSC and Chaos Fox back behind him. And again, these are the preliminary results. We'll leave it to the organizer to determine whether or not there are any penalties to be assessed, although that's usually not the case. Chaos Fox, Slipstream, Fear the Fun, and let's see, Yorkie Man now coming around with Slow Motion Fire back there in 11th. Slow Motion Fire has picked up a couple of points, and Slow Motion Fire is going to try to make the run. He doesn't get it. Yorkie Man in 10th, Slow in 11th. And back there in 12th, that'll be IPR Wolf. Born as Ghosts in 13th. Trigger Story coming around the bend for 14th. Then Joe Beardy, Viral Mist, Fawn, Grim, and Modern Weapon in 19th position. Congrats to Chicago, says Dino Dad Shadow. Kagamusha with the congrats as well. Dino Dad Shadow, seriously, what car manufacturer wouldn't want their cars in a car game? That's so much publicity. I hear you, man. I seriously think ever since, and we're really where I started like opening my eyes to it was when Forza Vista came around. When in Forza you could go into the virtual kind of dealership space or just the virtual space and move about the car and open the doors and the hood and the trunk and all that. That's when I'm like, man, this is like a really cool, a really solid like sales pitch in a way. It's not too salesy. It's not over the top where you've got a salesman over your back asking you if you want to go for a test drive and all that, or if you're in the market for the car. But hey, it gives you a chance to kind of peer around, look at it, and who knows, that might start the affinity for anybody who's eventually going to be in the market for a car. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take note of our finishing positions here. I'm going to go ahead and run a 3-minute break, ad break, and bear with me because what this does is it prevents those who may be joining us a little bit later on in the broadcast from seeing those pre-roll ads so they can get right to the action. So I'm going to roll some ads. I promise you won't miss anything as we get ready to go into qualifying for race number 2. So hang tight, and if you can watch the ads, that would be greatly appreciated. We'll be right back after these words from Twitch's sponsors. Appreciate you all tuning in to Virtual Autosport here live on Twitch TV. Currently running some ads, but for those of you who are not seeing any ads, we're just going to go ahead and watch LMP Chicago do a lap around the Indianapolis Grand Prix circuit, the classic circuit here for race number 3 in season number 32. We do have one more race coming up after this one. It'll be qualifying out at Lime Rock and then 29 laps around that track. The first time that we've broadcast a Lime Rock event here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, at least the first one that comes to my mind. So it should be pretty interesting for those of you maybe not familiar with the track. Good opportunity to see how that race is going to pan out. And with that circuit being a lot more congested in terms of track space, and there is a lot of green area, a lot of grass to run off into, it should be just as exciting as the one that we had here at Indy, if not that much more. And we'll see if LMP Chicago is able to go 3 times back to back to back here in season number 32. And welcome back, folks. Thanks to those of you who had ads for sitting by or sitting through all of those. Hopefully they were at least somewhat interesting. I'm Virtual Autosport. Well, this is the Virtual Autosports broadcast. I'm Dustin Moore, and here we are on a Tuesday evening with the Forza Spec Racing Series. Just wrapped up race number 3 here in Season 32, getting ready for qualifying out at Lime Rock. But before we do that, let's go ahead and chat with some of our drivers before this one. And there goes Chaos Fox. He's already chatting with somebody there in the queue for interview section. But hey, Chaos Fox, we've got you in here. I'm taking a look here at my standings. It does appear that you grabbed yourself a top 10.
Yeah. I actually hit the goal I set myself because I really wanted to get 7th, and I did. So I'm very happy right now.
Very happy. You had DJ Hocus out in front of you, Slipstream back behind you. DJ Hocus, what's it going to take for you to find yourself around DJ Hocus? DJ Hocus doing a great job out here in the Forza Spec Racing Series.
I was initially ahead of him.
Yeah.
I was keeping him at bay. Car washed out coming into, I want to say, turn 4 before the bigger carousel onto the back straight. And I washed out just a little bit, touched the dirt, and he got by me. If I didn't, I think I would have been 6th place. I would have held him off. I was holding him off good.
So just a slight loss of concentration or composure out there on the track, and now we head out to Lime Rock, where if you do that, that could have grave consequences. There is plenty of green grass. It's almost a pasture out here on the side of the track. How do you keep it on the asphalt?
Honestly, you just have to hit your marks every time. You go too fast into any of those corners, and the car's going to plow straight up the track.
Mm-hmm.
You need full focus every single turn. And this one is the alt, so it has both chicanes, and it's tricky. This car, despite being such a grip monster, slow speed stuff, it's a handful.
And a little bit more elevation, some undulation out this track. I think one of the parts of this circuit that always catch me is the uphill section. I know you said it. This is the alternate version, which has both the chicanes. So I don't know. What's your approach? How do you go about navigating that, especially on lap number 1, where you're going to have so much traffic around you? Is there any kind of safe approach here for the beginning of this race?
The best advice I could give is don't take it too wide. Don't take it too wide on the first lap, because you're too overzealous. One of you is going to go flying off track, and there goes all your momentum. Half the field's going to pass you, and that's going to get in your head, and you're not going to have a fun race. So I'm going to try and keep the nose of my car clean. I'm not going to try to make a move, but simply just stay behind somebody, stay locked on them, focus, and wait for the pack to spread out, then start making moves.
There you go. LSM Chaos Fox, well done at Indy. Best of luck to you here in qualifying out at Lime Rock.
Thank you.
All right, we've got a lot of folks who are hopping in here, and one of those being LMP Chicago, who picks up the win, the second here in season number 32, and it's a back-to-back after the Dubai Mountain Circuit in race 2, Indy in race 3. What's it going to take to grab the win here, race 4 out at Lime Rock?
Obviously a good qualifying position because you're not going to have a lot of opportunities to overtake at this track, even with the chicanes added on.
You got the chicanes. One area that also gets me, of course, this is very much a lot of the track. I mean, I struggle on all parts of any racing circuit, but coming down the hill, you got the downhill, which that's the name of the corner, turn 7, there before you head back toward the start-finish line. I see this a lot in multiplayer racing, drivers going into that corner way too heavy, flinging off onto the grass, and then you've got a tire barrier that can flip your car around real quick. So is there any particular way that you approach that corner, and especially in these the Nissan Skyline GTSR, are you able to go all out, or do you have to let off the throttle a little bit?
Depending on the line that you take, you can go all out in that corner, but I wouldn't be surprised if some people do end up running wide if they're going side by side through that corner.
Yeah, if the groundskeepers need any help out on the track, hopefully they left the grass there coming out of turn 7 high, because they'll get plenty of automotive lawnmowers cutting through that area. LMP Chicago here in the driver's spotlight, coming off of race number 3, getting ready for our final race of the evening here at Lime Rock. This track, it's just I don't know. There's something different about it. It's a new entry here into the Forza Motorsport franchise, one of the newer tracks. Do you get a lot of time out here, or did you kind of have to do a lot of preparation for this particular race?
I do get some time in, but that's mostly in faster cars and multiplayer hoppers.
Yeah.
But with this car, it's easy to adjust the lines with how it drives on not just this track, but all the other tracks.
All right. Well, Chicago, before I say best of luck to you in the race, best of luck to you in qualifying.
Thank you.
Okay. We got a couple other drivers in here. Let's go to Joe Beardy. Joe Beardy, great run out there at or at least initially it was a great run out there at Indy. Where did it go wrong later on in the race?
Well, the race was going great. We were running up in 6, had a good battle going
Yeah.
with Hocus and Fox, and then we ran into some electronic difficulties with my remote, and it decided to cut out twice, and we ended up in a tire barrier.
Yeah. Gosh. We saw that with I think it was Modern Weapon, unless the timing for me was just off. So you two having some controller issues there. I guess you got to just kind of put that behind you, chalk it up as some sort of malfunction, and get ready for this race here at Lime Rock, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I really like the car. I think I was able to finally show a little bit of speed of what I think I can run at least, and it's a car I think I can gel with. So, basically, yeah, I'm just going to try to use that same sort of momentum, at least try to roll into Lime Rock with it, see how we do.
So you got to have a short-term memory from race to race, even if you have a bad race in the first part of the evening, and then try to improve that on the second part. But then also, you have to kind of just keep it out of your head that there's a drop week rule in effect, because it's very easy to be complacent and think, okay, well, maybe this will just be my worst week and I won't worry about too much how I perform in race number 2. But you just never know what will happen later on in the season. So you still have to race like this will be a week that's counted, right?
I'd say so, but now that you just reminded me of the drop week, I unfortunately missed last week, so it means I got to pick my game up then.
That's true. That's true. If you miss a week, then that already puts you in a bad position where everything from that point forward's got to be good. Well, Joe Beardy, hopefully qualifying works in your favor like it did out there at Indy, and best of luck to you in the race with the controller staying connected.
Yeah, I will do my best. Thanks for having me.
You bet. And last one here we have in the driver's spotlight, our IPR Wolf. IPR Wolf, let's see, maybe just a little bit outside of the top 10 there after that race at Indy Grand Prix. You feeling pretty good out at that one coming into Lime Rock now?
Actually, so. I was having a little bit of issues, just more not necessarily with the car, just with getting a bit too antsy and trying to ask too much out of the car. But other than that, it's been doing all right.
Indy's a little bit more forgiving when the car gets a bit antsy. Now you got to be a lot more composed and keep the car on the track. So what are you doing to maybe increase the level of focus here for Lime Rock?
Just try not get as agitated. Words for me. Try not to get as agitated as I did last race, and just.
And what plays into
to
that?
keep
Is it a little bit because you got some traffic around you that's that you're trying to keep up with? Is it something where you're just trying to at least stay on pace with your best time out there? What causes some of that frustration?
It's more just outside factors. I'm kind of a bit worn out at the moment, but yeah, it's mainly just fatigue. But yeah, it is what it is. Go try to keep a clear mind out, so that I can focus a bit.
Makes sense. I can empathize with that. It's been a long day for me and a little bit of fatigue as well. IPR Wolf, best of luck for you here in qualifying out at Lime Rock.
Thank you.
Okay, there we go. And as I take a look at the lobby, it looks like now we have 20 drivers out here on the grid versus the 19 that we had starting things out at Indy. So picking up an extra driver here in this race tonight. Let's see, and it's going to be Weiss Lancelot, who we saw in the chat earlier, now going to be able to participate here in race 2 of the evening, and we'll see how he performs. Again, might be his drop week, all things considered, after missing the first one, but still, like I said, you never know what will happen in the rest of the season, so you got to come out here and give it your best shot either way, and then that way maybe if things go completely south, a little bit later on in weeks 3, 4, and 5, you can still fall back on this week to get you some points. All right, here we go. We got the countdown getting ready for qualifying out at the Lime Rock alternate circuit before we do 29 laps around this track. Again, in the 1987 Nissan Skyline GTS R. And we're underway with Modern Weapon. Going to be the first one off the... actually, it'll be DOR Corvid who's going to be the first one off the line, pardon me, as going up the hill, coming out of that first chicane. Then you're on the back straight. And then what would be the west bend is another alternate chicane area here as they go underneath the Lime Rock Bridge there. And then this is the downhill corner, turn 7. Which, as I mentioned, if you run wide, you got some tires there, you've got a guardrail. Can quickly ruin your race if you run wide, especially if you incur any damage, because you'll be too far past the pit lane entry to get your vehicle repaired, and it is a big no-no to drive backward, even in a beer league-esque racing series like the Forza Spec Racing Series. You don't want to drive backward to get into pit lane. And now here on their first flying lap, let's pull up those race stats. It's going to be Cratrin with a 106.954. Currently leading everybody in terms of top time. And then here comes AMS Udakan with a 105.756. Let's go to Chaos Fox there in third, who very happy with his run out at Indy. Going to try to make it 2 awesome runs here in week number 2. He's got the shadow there, the ghosted silhouette of a car trigger story as they head up the hill. And looking over here at the pit lane, Cratrium says should be really interesting, so hard to pass at this track. Dino Dad Shadow thinking that Lime Rock is going to be intense. Chaos Fox, this is going to be wild. Lap 1 with the chicanes is going to be good. And So Much Fire is saying, we got this. Chicanes are nothing. They've got nothing on the R31. We shall see. Here comes Chaos Fox now across the line on that third. I think that was the third and final flying lap, or it might be starting lap 3. Actually, I think that's the case there for Chaos Fox. One more flying lap here as Corvid getting ready to come across the line. He's currently got a 102.557. We'll be able to best that here on the third and final qualifying time. Nope, 102.557 it is. And LMP Chicago currently with the second quickest time at a 10. Well, Corbin with a 102.557. LMP Chicago. Well, it's not going to give me the time. Every attempt I have made to get the other times has failed me. Dior Corvid currently with the pole position. Then it'll be LMP Chicago, Audrex, Cratrium, Born as Ghost, and we'll take a look at these times here after qualifying is all said and done. Yorkie Man, DJ Hocus, IPR Wolf, Fear the Fun, Slipstream. That'll be the top 10, at least as it stands right now. I think we do have a few more cars coming in for their final qualifying time. Nope, that's it. That's all, folks. As the cars come to a screeching halt. And let's take a look at those times. DOR Corbett, yes, with that 102.557, the only 102 out there on the track for qualifying. Nope, 102.702 by LMP Chicago. So it'll still be Corbett on pole with LMP Chicago in P2, so on the same row. And then DJ Hocus with a 104.249. Yorkie Man with a 103.855. Modern Weapon with a 106.666. Thanks. Is Matt 666-1 in the house? Cratrim with a 103.692. Born as Ghost, 103.763. Grim clocking in a dirty 107.531. Which, by the way, we have the new Shadow 288 Dirt emotes. There you go. There's the dirty. Fawn with a 105.943. Slipstream 105.151. Udakan 103.2. Chaos Fox 105.2. Trigger Story 106.9. 104.2 to Fear the Fun, who DNF'd actually there out at Indy. Not entirely sure what happened there because Fear the Fun was running up in the top 10. Joe Beardy with a 105.444. Soul Motion Fire 104.428. IPR Wolf with a 104.216. Weiss Lancelot 106.174. Audrex with a 103.5. LMP Chicago with that P2 placing 102.702. Then a Viral Mist at 106.635. So qualifying is complete for this one out here at Lime Rock, and LMP Chicago, he wants to talk again. He's very chatty, albeit in a very cool and, again, collected sort of tone. Chicago, Corbett able to grab the pole position here.
Yeah, I kind of messed up a few corners on my lap, and I was scared of dirting the lap.
Just curious, because I believe, unless Forza throws it into an opposite setup as far as the grid start, that'll actually align you on the inside heading into turn number 1. So does that kind of work in your favor a bit, or would you rather the outside line?
I'd rather have the outside line because I'll be able to probably hold it on the outside into the left-hander after the first corner, but with cold tires, that's probably not going to be possible. But it's just all depending on if I get a good launch and a good reaction off the Corvid start.
And during some of our other driver spotlight discussions, some of the guys saying, hey, let's not go too wide here through the chicanes. Are you trying to avoid that at all costs, or are you not afraid of going too wide and keeping it side by side with somebody to stay up in front?
If it gets to a point where it's the closing stages of the race, I might go up for a move up the inside or go side by side through the chicanes, but that's going to require a lot of trust from both of the drivers.
Okay. Well, Chicago, we'll see how you do out there with a P2 start here at the Lime Rock race. Again, 29 laps in this one. This will be our final race of the evening. And AMS Udakan there in the pit lane saying, I'm legit falling asleep. I can't concentrate. it's amazing. It still baffles me how well some of these drivers are able to hold their concentration and their skill level in this game. Even though it may be very late or early in the morning for them in different parts of the world. So, man, I don't know. I don't know how it's tricky enough for me at the peak point of the day to be in the zone and focused. That's why I'm back here and not out on the track. But to do it when it's not necessarily, I guess, peak hours is pretty darn impressive. So AMS Udacon's going to try to make it happen. 2 a.m. and I've been awake since 7 a.m. yesterday, running on 3 hours of sleep, and I'm dying. Yeah, I would say so. That's exactly my point right there. How you're doing that, not entirely sure. Not something I would do, and of course I say that after having just done a 24-hour broadcast there for the 24 hours of Daytona. Carry out saying we got attacked by a crab in qualifying. It happens. It happens out here at Lime Rock. What can we say? Sometimes the crabs, they get out and about, and so you're just going to have to deal with that. It was fun. Crab walking, was he? 1987 GTS-R. This is the R31 of the lineage of Skylines, and it is a B600 Performance Index specification, as you can see there in the list of cars in the lobby. All the drivers, all the vehicles have the same upgrades to bring them up to B600. 276 horsepower, 289 foot-pounds of torque, 2,685. That's the curb weight of the vehicle. They've got race brakes, race springs and dampers, race front and rear sway bars, race chassis reinforcement and roll cage, race weight reduction. Then they've got a sports transmission, race differential, sport tire compound, which are wrapped around the multi-piece 1552 forged 3-piece Tarmac 348s, which are 16-inch rims, front and rear. Up in the front, they've got 275s 40 and then 315 35 on the back. Sport front bumper, wide body kit, and the engine has been upgraded to that 2.6-liter inline 6 TT motor. Again, bringing the vehicle up to 276 horsepower. This is the vehicle of choice for AMS Udacon, our Season 31 champion, and we hear the engines revving. But again, once we get out onto the grid here, as the camera finally jumps up there for us, we see the cars, and it'll be DOR Corvid in the pole position who is going to set the start for this race. As soon as Corvid moves, right there, everybody else is able to proceed, and here we go. No pace lap. We're off and running. Corvid into turn number 1, and fortunately for him, he's got nobody on his inside or outside. He's going to go into that, and it looks like quite a ways back. It's going to be single file. LMP Chicago in second, AMS Udacon, Cratrium, Audrex, Yorkie Man. Let's go back to Yorkie Man here in 6th position, in the thick of the pack. As a matter of fact, they're snaking through the line of cars, the trail of cars, staying pretty consistent all the way back. Nobody really dropping off the radar. Then it's IPR Wolf in 7th. Born as Ghost as they come up through the chicane. Fear the Fun, Slow Motion Fire, DJ Hocus, Chaos Fox, Joe Beardy, and Fawn. And you'll notice because they are now out of the qualifying session and into the race where they have put Forza race regulations on, it removes those tire barriers through the chicane. So that makes it a little bit less ominous going through those parts, especially if you do need to run wide for the sake of safety. And now across the line goes Audrex in 5th with Yorkie Man right behind him. Let's go back up to our race leaders, or at least P2 here of LMP Chicago, who's back there behind Corvid, our P1 qualifier. AMS Udacon still in 3rd, Cratrium in 4th. Let's go to Cratrium in 4th position and hop on board. As they come out of turn number 4, that's the right-hander now into No Name Straight. And yes, that is the name of the straightaway there, No Name Straight. Now through the chicane to the uphill. Oh, and it looks like Udacon getting into the back of Chicago a bit. Chicago's going to come back into 3rd, now drop back to 4th. Udacon moves up to 2nd, and through the chicane they go. And I'm guessing Chicago is right there. He is, and he's already trying to find a way around Cratrim. He's going to go to the inside. Now down the straightaway, across the line. Chicago, just by a nose, is going to pick up third again here on lap number 2, starting lap 3. Into 1 and 2 they go. Big Ben here at Lime Rock. Again, 29 laps. That 30th lap will be a cooldown lap. And already things looking pretty darn exciting. LMP Chicago looking to go back to back to back here in season 32, but not if Corvid has anything to say about it, or even AMS Udakan, our season 31 champion. Chaos Fox saying, "Hey!" Chaos Fox on the pit lane there, despite being in the race, and he's in 8th right now. I don't know if he typed that while racing or if it was just before the race got started. This is one of those configurations where you do have to be mindful about your line and not try to get too carried away through the corners. And there goes AMS Udakan running wide, coming down through the downhill corner, T7, or at least T7 on the main course. Now that we have a couple of chicanes in there, that does throw the T numbers up, shuffles them up a little bit. So that might be T9 or 10 now at this point. Here comes Cratrim. And back behind him in 5th position, it's going to be Odd Drex, followed by Yorkie Man, IPR Wolf, Chaos Fox, Born as Ghost, and Fear the Fun make up the top 10. What's up there, Divine? Divine with the Shadow 288 cone. Redeeming that one through the channel points, I believe. And Udakan again, this time able to keep at least 2 wheels on the asphalt, but still getting a little squirrely. A bit unusual in the very grippy R31. Now here they come through Big Ben once again on lap number 5. Let's go back to 9th position with Born as Ghost. Right there on the hood view, you see the back of LSCM Chaos Fox. Chaos Fox, very pleased with his run earlier this evening at the Indianapolis Grand Prix track. Trying to go for 2 good races here in week number 2. Set him up nicely on the points. Currently sitting, or at least entering, week number 2 in 16th overall with 26, so can really improve upon that here in week number 2, and perhaps week 1 will be the drop week. Here comes Born as Ghost, though, looking to make a move as they come up to the West Bend. Born as Ghost to the inside, and he has to hit the brakes pretty hard. That's going to allow Chaos Fox to remain in 8th position, but somebody else going off track back there. Did not catch who that was. And we're going to stay right here because Born as Ghost, he's not letting up any. He did have to hit the brakes pretty hard there going into that second chicane. And now here they go into turn 1. Then turn 2, Big Bend. The Pizza Planet car with the yo on the back. Because it was a Toyota, I believe a Tacoma. Every time Dustin says Big Bend, I think he's saying Big Ben, and then you say, what? What do you want me for, Dustin? No, Big Bend here at Lime Rock. And we've got a driver who's into pit lane. That's going to be Graham. Graham's going to go ahead and turn it in and get that probably some damage fixed up. That would be the only reason to be in pit lane right now. The tire wear, not enough to warrant a pit stop at this point, and certainly plenty of fuel in the tank. Here comes Cratrim across the line, currently running in 3rd. Let's go up to 2nd with LMP Chicago, who fell back as far as 4th after a little bit of an incident earlier on with AMS Udakan, and now has gotten around Udakan and gunning for 1st. This is going to be your battle all the way through week number 5. That final race, that 9th and final race there in week number 5, which happens to be 55 laps around Sonoma, the short circuit of Sonoma. So this is just I don't want to say another preview or a preview because it's happening right now before us, but you can expect this one to carry on out through the remaining 3 weeks here after things are all said and done in week 2. And across the line they'll go Corvid, Chicago, respectively 1 and 2 here for lap 8. Another car into the pit lane. That's going to be Viral Mist. Viral Mist in the pit lane. So we've got LMP Chicago here in second. Back behind him, it's going to be third with Kratrium, Udakan in fourth. Audrex is fifth. Yorkie Man sixth. IPR Wolf, Chaos Fox, Born as Ghost, and Fear the Fun are 7th through 10th. Fear the Fun trying to have a much better run after a DNF out at Indy. Soul Motion Fire in 11th. DJ Hocus, Joe Beardy, Slipstream, Trigger Story, Weiss Lancelot are 11th through 16th. Then it's Fawn, Modern Weapon, Viral Mist, and Grim, 16 through 20. 17 through 20. Hoot Wheels saying, "Go Chaos Fox, go!" The cheering section is back. We've seen that a couple of times here, not just this season, but last season. We definitely encourage the drivers that if they've got members of a team or their family or their friends who want to cheer them on, to come on over here to Virtual Autosports and give them a shout there in the pit lane, the Twitch chat. We like to see that. It's our own virtual grandstand here. And here comes Chicago. He's looking to make a move here on the no-name straight with DOR Corvin. What's going to happen here as they come into the chicane? And it's going to be Chicago to the inside through the first half, then the second half, now up the hill, past the uphill corner. They're on the, there's actually 2 lines there, and because we're on the alternate track, they come out past the uphill section, then line up for the West Bend. The West Bend. And now Chicago up into P1. Let's go to Yorkie Man. Yorkie Man having quite the run here in 6th. Got that orange number board indicating an amateur to the Forza Spec Racing Series, but based on his positioning on the track right now, not an amateur in the world of Forza Motorsport. Right there behind Audrex, who was 4th in the race out at Indy, running 5th right now. Let's go back to that maneuver there by Chicago to get around Corvid for first place. Let's go to Fear the Fun in 9th. He's got Chaos Fox, and it's a 3-way battle here. Born as Ghost to the outside. Fear the Fun to the inside. He's going to make a move. Oh, no, and we've got the loading screen. And we're back. That usually means that somebody DNF'd. Right now we've got Fear the Fun up to 7th now. So during that black screen, we have Fear the Fun making a couple of passes up to 7th position around Chaos Fox and Born as Ghost. And it's Joe Beardy back there in 10th. We're going to hang out here for just a little bit. Let's go back at least to Born as Ghost here in 9th. That way we can kind of see the action out in front of him. Carryout saying, I DC'd again. Every time I get a penalty point for anything, I get DC'd. That's a strange anomaly. Yes, indeed. DJ Hocus there. And IPR Wolf as well. So we had a twofer during that black screen, which is not what we like to see. The drivers obviously commit their time to participating, and having already raced one here this evening, you like to be able to close out both events. And And unfortunately for Wolf and DJ, that's just not going to happen. And now here comes Born as Ghost trying to make a move on Chaos Fox as they come up to Big Bend, turn 1 and 2. And not going to happen there for Chaos Fox that time by. Divine telling him, go get some carry out. Oh. And Viral missed. He's going to go ahead and pull off to the track. At least 2 wheels coming down the no-name straight there, allowing 7th position of Fear the Fun to get on by without incident. Now here through the chicane, Viral missed. Maybe struggling through the chicane or making way again. He did it on the no-name and possibly through the chicane as well. Let's go. Let's see. Chicago about maybe a half a second out in front of Corvid right now. Cratrum, the same amount of distance between him and AMS Udakan, and it's Audrex and Yorkie Man. Looking to give some of our other drivers a little bit of love on the camera here. Let's go back to CMB Slipstream. He's got Joe Beardy out in front of him. Joe Beardy we talked to following the Indy race, and Joe started out with a pretty good run and unfortunately had some bad luck with the controller, which put him back, looks like maybe 13th or 14th out at Indy. And let's go back yet a little bit more to Trigger Story. Look at that, the Terminator. The Terminator livery here on the 87 Nissan Skyline and the orange number board. Trigger Story showing up for the first time here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, at least the first season. We saw Trigger Story back there in week number 1. Currently, or at least 18th, entering week 2 on the standings. Just behind Modern Weapon and in front of Presto is Besto, who we don't see out here tonight. And we've got another vehicle into pit lane. That's going to be Grim for what I believe is his second trip into pit lane. Let's go back up to Chaos Fox. A lot of trust there, Chaos Fox. On the heels of Born as Ghost. They're already top 10, but every position you can gain is an extra set of points. It's more than 1 point of separation between any one position, so that can make all the difference in being not just one spot down on the leaderboard, but a couple of spots. And there goes Grim running wide out of turn number 4, the right-hander. And so it's not enough just to grab yourself a top 10. If you've got 8th, 7th within reach, go for it. Let's go up to LMP Chicago, who is now going to be dealing with some lap traffic heading up to this next alternate route chicane. It's Weiss Lancelot, who is racing for the first time here in week number 2 after missing the first run, and Fawn, and Chicago going to take the outside line up under the curbing. And there you go, just like that. Perhaps a little bit too far into the inside of that second chicane, exiting the second chicane, and now through the downhill section, turn, again, what would be turn 7 if they weren't running the alternate track, and across the line for the beginning of lap 17. Let's go to Corbett, who's now going to be dealing with that same lap traffic. Corbett qualified first on the pole position for this race and has fallen to Chicago. Chicago telling us in the driver's spotlight after the qualifying that he had a little flub. He had a mistake that kept him from posting the quickest time. And that statement seems to be very true, because now he's got a good, I don't know, what is that, a good 4-5 second lead here on Corbin? Back to Borna's Ghost in 8th position. And once again, I'm Dustin Moore, broadcasting to you live here on Twitch TV and Virtual Autosport, bringing to you start-to-finish coverage of Season 32 of the Forza Spec Racing Series, Season number 32 in the R31. The R31, the 87 Nissan Skyline GTSR. I appreciate y'all finding us here on a Tuesday evening or perhaps an early Wednesday morning, this little part of the internet. And, I mean, coming off of a week where we had a full lobby in this race here, we started with 20. Unfortunately, we lost a couple of drivers due to disconnects, but still going very, very strong here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, despite the fact that the Forza Motorsport 7 title is now over 2 years, well over 2 years old, and we are patiently waiting the next motorsport title, the next motorsport experiences, as the folks over at Turn 10 Studios have kind of teased it up to this point. It isn't yet officially Forza Motorsport 8, and that usually is an indication, at least in the gaming world, the gaming industry, that maybe it won't be a Forza Motorsport 8. And obviously, you know, take that for what you will. It's just a title. It's really the features that'll dictate how different of a game it will be. But then again, it could very well be just Forza Motorsport 8. But we will have, hopefully, sooner rather than later, some information on that title. And then that way the folks of the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series can start planning for what that looks like for the season or for the series, this league. If you want more information, though, on all the things that are coming out or happening here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, then head on over to reddit.com/r/FM4. They'll have those details there. Dino Dad Shadow saying it won't be 8. And that's exactly where I'm going with it. Like, if it was Forza Motorsport 8, I think they would have already just said it at this point. But Chris Sasaki being very, at least it seems, very strategic in mentioning the next, quote-unquote, the next motorsport experience. LMP Chicago is our race leader and has been, at least for the last 5 laps. DOR Corbin back there in second, Kratrim in third, Udakan in fourth, and Audrex in fifth. And the difference between the delta between all those drivers is quite substantial. So really our action is back here in sixth with Yorkie Man on the backside of Audrex. And then you've got to look quite a ways further back to find Fear the Fun, who's fending off Borna's Ghost and Chaos Fox. Those three keep jockeying for position 7th through 9th. Slipstream is just kind of watching from afar. They're in 10th position. Joe Beardy all in his lonesome in 11th. He actually has first place of LMP Chicago closing in on him. So that's just how strong of a performance we're seeing out of Chicago in this race. He's about to lap the driver who is running 11th in this one. Back behind Joe Beardy in 11th is going to be Slow Motion Fire of 12th, who has just been lapped by LMP Chicago. Then it's Trigger Story, Weiss Lancelot, Modern Weapon, Fawn, Viral Mist, and Grim in 18th position, and you see it there, the scoreboard or the ticker at the top, IPR Wolf and DJ Hocus with the DNFs. So really the closest battle that we have out here on the track right now, it's going to be Yorkie Man and Audrex for 5th. Hopefully we'll get more info on the March monthly show. Says Dino Dad Shadow. Yeah, it's possible. There's a lot of speculation that we may actually see more details, not just on Forza, but on the Xbox and some of the titles before E3, and E3 not happening until, gosh, when is it, May or June that E3 happens? So if that's the case, then we should know a little bit more here in the coming months. If that doesn't pan out, then E3 will be the next viable option. And then, of course, opposite of the Xbox world and even the Microsoft PC world, is we can cross-play here, or play anywhere, if you will, for some of the Xbox titles, and as we do here with Forza Motorsport 7. On the opposite end of that spectrum is PlayStation and PlayStation 5, and what that means for maybe the Gran Turismo fans. So a lot to find out here in 2020 as we get closer and closer to the next generation of console gaming, and then for us PC players, we just kind of go along for the ride. Yorkie Man now losing sight of Audrex there as they approach that first chicane there in what would be turn 5, the uphill corner. Just going to the inside of that. Let's drop back to Fear the Fun in 9th. Dino Dad Shadow agreeing with Big Ben, saying, I'm guessing it will be a reboot. Kagamusha saying, custom track builder obviously going to be in it. I was never a big fan of the idea of a track builder, but the more I got involved in organized league racing, the more appealing it became to me, because the idea that organizers could create tracks and run them in a series is an interesting concept. And then just generally the idea of building a track, and so not necessarily having to worry about, okay, well, will the fictional tracks be good? Well, you can create your own and make your own track. And if what we're seeing, there goes Chaos Fox well to the inside through the S's, turn number 3 coming out of Big Bend. And that's going to allow Fear the Fun to start to pull away, and 10th position of Slipstream to get a little bit closer. But if what we're seeing in Forza Horizon 4 with the share codes, oh, can you imagine how easy and how seamless it'll make it to do some sharing of a custom track. Hey, here's my share code to race this track I made. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, Dino Dad Shadow saying PlayStation has already confirmed that they won't be at E3. Yeah, that'll be their second year in a row that they're not doing the E3 thing and going to do their own. I don't know if they call it World of Play or what they call it. They just kind of do their own thing. Lap 26 of 29. LMP Chicago, Corvid, Cratrium, Udacan, Audrex, Yorkie Man, and let's return to Yorkie Man. We've got 2 battles here. This one for 5th, and then for 7th, 8th, and 9th. A little bit further back. Here comes Yorkie Man. Down the downhill section, and if he's going to make a move here on Audrex, he'll have to do it pretty soon. Lap 26, 4 to go. Chris said he was hoping to make the March show, so that's good news. Chris Sasaki, who's kind of stepped in as the front man for the Turn 10 Studios team. Dan Greenewalt was always kind of the face, although on a very high production level. So it was always like at E3 and stuff. Brian Eckberg, the former community manager of Turn 10 Studios, was kind of, during those Forza Monthly shows, the one to step in there. And then, of course, brought Chris Sasaki in, and John Knowles and a couple of the other folks from the Turn 10 creative and design, creative teams. Yorkie Man is still about 3 car lengths back. And a Big Ben here, lap 27. Big Ben saying June, so maybe Big Ben's predicting. Well, okay, you're responding to my question about E3. It's in June, right? I thought May was a little early, so yeah, June makes sense. That would be fantastic. So many possibilities. Infinite tracks. Trials game has them. People make great tracks, Kagamusha says. And Gran Turismo, what? Gran Turismo 6, I think, had a track builder, or Gran Turismo 5, one of the two. And I think there was some, you know, like, issues with that the community took issue with the way that track builder was presented, but it was something, I guess. But will there be one where it's almost fully customizable, where you can change elevation, change the camber of the corners, put some scenery around it? Who knows? So much to learn. It's kind of the fun of it, though, really. I mean, once we learn about it, it's going to be kind of like, okay, cool. When does it release? Now the guessing game is really what builds up the anticipation, the excitement. Jumping up here to Corvid real quick, although you could see that LMP Chicago is just gone. He's on the opposite end of Big Ben, actually heading into Turn 3. The S's right now. Cratrim in third, Udakan in fourth, Audrex and Yorkie Man, who we saw falling back a little bit. Let's go to Born as Ghost in eighth, who's behind Fear the Fun. Fear the Fun doing a great job holding Born as Ghost and Slipstream off, and Chaos Fox coming back into the picture. Chaos Fox was in this trio before falling back, and now there goes Born as Ghost and Slipstream side by side in the downhill section. That's always iffy, and it looks like it's going to be Born as Ghost who's going to benefit from it, at least for now. Yeah, Chris seems like a very genuine person. I've not met him. Big Ben saying that you met Chris when you were over there for an FRC event. He seems like a real genuine dude. He's been at Turn 10 Studios, I think, now closing in on 3 or 4 years. And there we go. That's the end of the race there. We're going to hang out right here and see if there's any last-minute antics. It doesn't appear to be. It's going to be Fear the Fun 7th, Born as Ghost in 8th, Slipstream and Chaos Fox as they come across the line, and there you go. Running through the order, it is LMP Chicago who comes back from being back there in 4th position. And we got a car upside down. LMP Chicago in 1st, DOR Corvid in 2nd, and again, these are all just preliminary standings, barring any penalties that Slow Motion Fire may deem necessary. Corvid in 2nd. 3rd goes to Cratrium, then Udakan. So Udakan, not the race that he wanted, especially to keep close proximity there to Chicago on the leaderboard. Going to make it harder for him to go back-to-back champion from Season 31 into Season 32. Yorkie Man in 6th. 7th, Fear the Fun, Born as Ghost. Slipstream in 9th. Then 10th is Chaos Fox. So maybe not as far up as Chaos Fox would have hoped, but still a top 10. Then Trigger Story in 11th. Followed by Slow Motion Fire in Modern Weapon. And I know I'm saying these slow as I write them down because we'll get out of this lobby, and because they're going to have a cooldown lap here where only one goes around the track, sometimes the standings will get lost here in the post-race results. So Joe Beardy in 15th, followed by Fawn, Viral, then Grim, and then we had the DCs of DJ Hocus and who was that? Who was that other disconnect? The crazy thing was talking to Chris in Hindi, Radio Le Mans, about the future of motorsport games. Yeah, that's a cool opportunity. Wolf, thank you, Carry Out. Carry Out, one of the victims there of the DNF. Folks, I'm going to go ahead and run a 3-minute ad break. It'll allow me to catch up, get ready to talk to some drivers in our driver spotlight. If you can hang tight and go through them, that would be greatly appreciated for me. And then on the back side of those ads, we will have those interviews, and then we'll take a quick little look at what's in store for week 3 here in the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series, Season 32. And for those of you that are hanging out here with the broadcast through the remainder of our broadcast this evening, just remember that if you didn't catch all of the action in its entirety here tonight, hang out after this broadcast concludes as fast as I can. I'll get the rerun going. I will clip the beginning of it to exclude all of that pre-show countdown stuff, but then get to the pre-show itself. And then into the race there at Indy, or the qualifying, and then the race at Indy. So, again, if you didn't miss, or if you didn't catch all the action, you can watch that back here during the rerun. A lot of the drivers who participated here in week number 2 will jump in there and kind of have fun, chat about the race, and see how things looked from our vantage point, the spectator view. And then, of course, you can always watch back these races, not only here for Season 32, but I believe the Season 31 and Season 30 are still available. When you go to twitch.tv/virtual autosport, go to the video tab at the top, and then go to the past broadcast, and there you will find those previous races. And unfortunately, it doesn't include some of the earlier broadcasts that we had of the Forza Spec Racing Series. If I do find some time here in the spring, I do want to try to get those all uploaded over to YouTube. Granted, I don't have a few races. I lost a few of them. But I will try to get those available for y'all to take a look at if you wish. And welcome back to those of you who saw the advertisements. Again, thank you very much for lasting through those and dealing with them. I hope they were at least a little bit entertaining as we come back here for the conclusion of week number 2 in Season 32. out at Lime Rock. LMP Chicago makes it 3 straight wins in a row. That's the Dubai Mountain Circuit reverse. Then it was Indy Grand Prix earlier this evening. Now Lime Rock. In Chicago, you went from second in qualifying back to fourth after what looked to be just a racing incident there with Udakan, able to charge right back out into front. And then once you got around Corvid, I want to say it was smooth sailing. You did have some back markers to deal with, but really uncontested from that point forward.
Yeah, I knew I had the lap time, as my qualifying time wasn't as representative as I thought it would be. But I was just patient. I was involved in that incident with Huracan, but I just put my head down and carried on.
Yeah, and again, it looked like a racing incident there on the back straight, getting ready for the West Bend. What did you see in that situation? What resulted in that little? It wasn't even really a spin; it just kind of threw your pace off a bit.
Yeah, I got hit in the rear, and I didn't expect the car to actually get jolted to the left, because with normal Forza physics, that doesn't happen. So I was just unexpectedly waiting for that to happen.
And then it didn't take long for you to get back up through the field of 3 in front of you. I don't know. We'll see from our other drivers if they're going to be able to go at you here for the remainder of the season. But you're in good shape here with Udakan falling back a few spots. That's going to increase your lead on the point standings. Granted, that doesn't yet take into consideration, or it will take into consideration as we tally up the points. Slow motion will get those done up here after the broadcast. But man, you're in a good shape for a championship here in season 32.
Yeah, I'm not expecting I wasn't expecting to actually have the pace in this car as Huracan chose it, and I thought that he was actually going to, have the advantage because he picked the car and he knew where it's good and where it's not.
We've got some real exciting tracks looking ahead here. Monza full. That'll be followed up by Road America East. 19 laps and 25 laps respectively there in week number 3. So talking about your pace and whether you're able to keep at it, any of those tracks seem ominous to you, or are those both ones that you have confidence in?
Well, both of the tracks are power tracks, so lap times are going to be pretty similar. It's going to be down to the exits off of the corners and keeping that speed up down the straightaway. And if you're behind someone, you do have a bit of an advantage with the draft.
Okay, well, we'll see. Already now 3 straight wins here in season 32. Going to try to make it 4 straight, picking up in week number 3 where you left off. And, of course, as Slow Motion Fire gets those points tallied, that'll bring you up to 100 now here in terms of championship points with these 2 wins in week number 2. LMP Chicago, great work. We'll see you in week 3.
Yep.
All right, and let's see. We've got a couple of options here. Let me go ahead and let's go to IPR Wolf. We'll go ahead and bring IPR Wolf here into the driver's spotlight. Wolf, things didn't seem to go very well out here at Lime Rock. I think I caught you in pit lane a couple of times. What went wrong?
Can't say I was in pit lane, but in fact, things were going pretty well. It was just that I ended up disconnecting midway through the race, and
yeah, my apologies there. I'm confusing you with Grim. You had the disconnect there, IPR Wolf. You did, and that was what, midway through the race, you say?
If I remember correctly, that's pretty much where
how in the virtual world of racing, that's pretty discouraging. But how do you bounce back from something like that? What do you tell yourself just to get back into the thick of it for the next week?
For the most part, I pretty much just walk away from my game for a little while just to get my cool, and then after that I kind of work over where was I, so on and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing you can do there, and that's the disappointing part of virtual racing is that you have a week like this. Now, that being said, coming off of week number 1, you had 36 points. That was good enough for 14th overall on the leaderboard, just behind Slow Motion Fire. You're down 2 points to him. So if we chalk week 2 up as your drop week, what do week 3, 4, and 5? And we're looking at the schedule here on the broadcast. What do you think? What do you make of the races ahead? Do you feel good in the schedule and the tracks and your ability to turn things around?
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten. Well, I learned a thing from the car from last round, and
Oh, do share.
basically midway through first race tonight, I was told, "Oh, hey, you should probably do short shift or something to that sort," and started doing that, and immediately started started gaining on the people ahead of me.
Yeah.
But of course, by that point, I wasn't able to really catch them in time. But the race at Lime Rock proved pretty well with that short shifting bit. So,
and isn't that the beauty of a league like this that doesn't take itself too seriously? Yes, it's got great level of competition, but guys and gals who are nice enough, kind enough to say, hey, what can I do to help you? And you maybe explain where you're shifting at, and they say, well, why don't you try this? I mean, that's a pretty cool thing. That's unique to leagues like this that are not so intense and competitive.
exactly, it's a pretty friendly group of people, and when things get rough, people are willing to help.
Awesome. Love that. And Wolf, again, tough luck there with the disconnect here in race number 4. But again, you were 14th on the leaderboard. You may change a little bit based on where everybody else is picking up points here in week 2. But all in all, pretty good looking ahead here at week 3, 4, and 5. Best of luck to you, and we'll see you there next week.
Thank you.
All right, and now let's go ahead and bring in LSEM Chaos Fox, who, if my math is correct, you finished 10th, a few spots back from where you were out at Indy Grand Prix. But I mean, if those are my 2 finishes, I'm pretty satisfied with that.
Yes, I am very happy compared to round 1 where I did abysmal. I'm very happy. I had an intense battle with Fear and Born, and we were swapping positions so many times. Our lines were just different enough where we would overtake each other or we would lose a little bit of time. It was really fun. Unfortunately, myself and Slipstream got a little caught up, and that's when I fell back to 10th. But even if we had a little bit more time, I think it would have been a big 4-way battle for 7th, and that would have been exciting. But wasn't meant to be.
A little bit more time, says Chaos Fox, talking about our race here, race number 4 of season 32 out at Lime Rock. And yeah, these races here throughout weeks 1 through 4 are pretty light in terms of the laps. The racing going for about 40-45 minutes, but then you do have that finale. So just maybe a preview. Is this the group that you look to be running with all the way through the rest of the season and on to into race number 9 there in week 5, where you will have more time, Sonoma Raceway, and I'm guessing if this race was an indication, that battle continues to wage on through the remainder of the season.
Oh, I definitely see a continuation of myself, Fear, and Born. If we qualify close to each other, this isn't over.
And do you start placing friendly bets to say, hey, which one of us is going to come out on top of the leaderboard? Do you start thinking about who's going to be the best of the 4?
Maybe, but it's definitely a good motivator. That's for sure.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, and that's exactly what we're telling folks who are interested in joining the Forza Spec Racing Series. Find where your competition is out there on the grid and make it your effort to try to beat those drivers out there. You may not be able to be up at the top, but to find a pack that you can run with and best them. That's the objective. Chaos Fox, congrats on a much better run here in week number 2, and we hope that luck continues in week 3.
Yes, thank you.
And I say luck, but really, I mean, that's all skill there by Chaos Fox, making it happen here in week number 2. And now the last one I see in our list for the drivers in our driver spotlight is DJ Hocus. DJ Hocus, we talked to Wolf just a bit ago, and now you were the other driver on the opposite end of the luck here with the disconnect in race number 4. Much like I asked Wolf, you just got to kind of shake it off and get ready for week 3, right?
Yes, just shake it off. I'm used to it by now. I got DC'd the first session, and then now in the second session I got DC'd again, and I think I figured out what it is. For some odd reason, every time I get a penalty point for any reason, it disconnects me. So I have to figure out why that is.
The great motivator, not to get a penalty point in your future races.
Yes.
Granted, the Forza race regulations, it's a new penalty system here in Forza Motorsport 7, so it has its little nuances and things that need to be worked out. But yeah, that being said, any one driver can expect to incur a few penalties. It's unfortunate, though, that seems to maybe be the trigger for the boot here on the track. That being said, this being your first run here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, Season 32, having fun so far?
I love it. I absolutely love it.
And would you say that the R31, this choice of vehicle by Udokan, who was the Season 31 champion, is this a car that suits your driving style, or are you maybe looking for something a little bit different heading into, and I know we're still a ways away, but Season 33?
No, it's a really good car. It handles amazing. I wish it was a little bit faster, but other than that, it's really, really good.
And I'm going to go ahead and throw the schedule up there one last time as we take a look at what's ahead for week number 3. But then 4 and 5, you got Monza, Road America, Suzuka, Mount Panorama, Bathurst, and then Sonoma Raceway for the finale of the 55-lapper. Which one of those tracks intrigues you the most and gets you most excited about what's ahead?
2, actually. Monza full is going to be really good, and then Mount Panorama at Bathurst. That one is going to be really good.
The downhill at Bathurst, it doesn't intimidate you, huh?
No.
You like it?
Bathurst is one of my favorite tracks in this game.
I like it too.
I love that racetrack.
Yeah, if only Turn 10 Studios in the next iteration of Forza brings about the nighttime version, that way we can kind of get a little flavor of the 12 hours of Bathurst. That would be pretty exciting.
Yes.
That much more scary down the back hill, down the downhill section of Bathurst, don't you think?
Yes, I have more laps at Bathurst in this game than any other track.
Wow, you
Because
like it that much?
That track is amazing for doing tunes for any car, because you have elevation changes, sweeping rights, sweeping lefts, sharp rights, sharp lefts, long straightaways. It's amazing for tuning cars.
You're not the first person to hear that, and I can't recall who else it was that has said that, but that's something I have heard before, is that's a great place to kind of get a tune set up, if not at least the base tune, and then work from there. But
right.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, DJ Hocus, despite the bad luck here in Season 32, hopefully things will turn around for you in Week 3. And then, of course, we'll look forward to that race there at Monza that you said that you're looking forward to.
Yes, I look forward to that one very much.
All right, DJ, thank you very much for joining us there in the driver's spotlight. And to all the drivers who are vocal enough and not shy to hop into the driver's spotlight, I tell you, I'm stumbling here. I'm a little bit off of my game tonight, but I'm so glad that we had this event here this evening, that we've got these Tuesday races. It allows me to kind of just escape from the fatigue of the real world and give us a chance to hop into this virtual world of racing and have a good old time. The racing was superb out here tonight. Granted, we would have wished maybe for a little bit closer action out here at Lime Rock, but hey, they can't all be close races. Every once in a while, we're going to get these oddball ones where maybe we have a couple of battles, and that's really it. But yes, 2 great tracks to look forward to there in week number 3. Monza Full, that's a 19-lap race, followed by the Road America East Circuit. The East Circuit, which if I'm correct, is just basically the 2 long straightaways with just a few corners thrown into the mix. I could be confusing that with the West version, but hey, we'll find out next week. So don't miss it. Same bat time, same bat channel here on twitch.tv/virtual autosports. 8 p.m. Eastern is when things will get kicked off for qualifying there at Monza, and then we'll follow that up with the race, and then qualifying for Road America and the race for that one before we head into week number 4. And just as quickly as these seasons come around and begin, we'll be at our halfway point at the conclusion of the Monza race next week. So that will already start to paint the picture of where drivers are in terms of points. It's week 3, at the conclusion of week 3, where the points standing really starts to come to fruition, or we could start to envision what's going to happen in terms of running for the championship, and then of course just where everybody else is on the field, because now you will have 2 weeks worth of points, championship points accumulated, and then leaving just week 4 and 5 to go. So all the more reason to be here next week, next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. So Motion Fire will get the points tallied up there at reddit.com/r/FM4. And again, that's where you can go for all the details here on the Forza Spec Racing Series. And seeing as we were just a little bit short of a full lobby here tonight, possibly look into participating in week 3, even though you won't be in the running for the championship. Get out here on the track, have some fun with these guys and gals, get yourself familiar with the layout, the format of the racing, and then who knows, season 33, maybe you'll be in the running for the championship at that point. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of the week here as we get through the second full week of February, getting ready for what will be the Valentine's Day holiday here on Friday for those of you who celebrate, and for those of you with a significant other who does have some expectations for you. Make sure that you've already got things set up and ready to go for Friday. Don't fall short on that one, because then you will hear about it for quite some time. Valentine's Day this Friday. For everybody else who's not celebrating, well, it's just another Friday, right? Another Friday to look forward to. But hey, exciting stuff. For anybody who's a NASCAR fan, you've got the Daytona 500 coming up. Of course, racing season is getting into gear with the weather, the weather becoming more favorable. And before you know it, we'll be looking at things like the 24 hours of Nürburgring and Le Mans and all that fun stuff. So hang out with us here, Virtual Auto Sports live on Twitch TV. You can talk about the racing action as it's unfolding before you here during the broadcast, or, of course, talk about racing, the Forza Motorsport franchise, or gaming in general in our Twitch chat. It's always appreciated and welcomed. If you get any more racing action in, whether it be here in the world of Forza Motorsport or elsewhere, as always, keep it fun, keep it safe, keep it clean. I'm Dustin Moore. Y'all take care. We'll see you next time. Again, a week from tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, with week number 3.